Interesting conversation going on about Pepsi. The company has pulled its new advertising campaign after a huge backlash online. The ad features Kendall Jenner ending a protest by handing a police officer a can of Pepsi. And many are accusing the company of exploiting a number of different protest movements, including the protest movement against Donald Trump, as well as the Black Lives Matter movement as well, all in an effort to sell more cola. And so today, Pepsi's saying, you know what, actually, we're going to pull the ad altogether because it's not appropriate. And a lot of people saying, here, well, you're watching what goes on here. She's wearing a blonde wig, and at one point she takes it off and joins the protest and hands over a can of Pepsi to a police officer. Let's go to Vancouver here. Marketing expert Tony Chapman is standing by, and he's going to weigh in on what is wrong, maybe what is right about this ad. Your impression, Tony, what do you think?
Well, you have to feel sorry for Pepsi. They put a lot of money against this ad, and it just blew up in their faces. Three things make a great ad. One is an insight in your target audience that creates an itch. It's something that matters to them. Second is a great storyline. Third, and the most difficult, is to make sure your product belongs in it. Pepsi did one thing right. They got a great insight. The millennials love to seize the moment, live more. They're constant feed in their mobile phone. They just want to be more, do more. So that was a good insight. The narrative, though, trying to tap into what's happening on the streets all around the world with people protesting, sometimes risking their lives, not the storyline you want to put your brand into. I mean, these are serious protests. They're about angst and anguish that people are feeling. And then the third thing was having someone like Kendall Jenner play the role of a Martin Luther King or a Bob Marley in Ethiopia and try to diffuse the situation by handing a can of Pepsi, and then everything turns into this happy street party with cello players and everything else that you wouldn't bring to a protest. All of it fell flat in his face, and what happens in this world of social media is that people don't like it, they let you know, and boy, have they let Pepsi know.
You know, every time this kind of thing happens, Tony, you ask yourself the following question. A company like Pepsi is very big. How is it that an ad like this goes from the drawing board all the way to being on air without anybody at any point in that process saying, maybe not, guys?
Well, the first thing is now it's a committee, because you're trying to create ads in this marketplace that you can stretch across the world, that you can repurpose in every country. So very rarely do they have narrative. It's music. Oh, that's a piece of music that everybody will love. Oh, there's a great storyline. That's Skip Marley, Bob Marley's grandson. Oh, we'll get a model that everybody knows and a celebrity. Can't go wrong with a Jenner. Geez, what's everybody doing around the world that they can all relate to? Oh, protest. I get it. We'll do an ad about protest. And so it all looks great on paper. Put it together, you spend the money, you shoot it, make sure everybody's smiling. Let's go color corrected with our protest signs so they catch the color Pepsi blue. And it just all seems so wonderful. All these chefs around the table going, yeah, that will work in my country. Then you produce it and you put it out there, and nobody really sees it. They should be, but they don't really look at it through the lens of the consumer. And now I'm sure the Pepsi organization is saying, what was I thinking? How did we get that through the gauntlet? How did that get out? How do we put millions of dollars in media support, tens of millions of dollars in media support behind it? They did the right thing, admit their mistake. People make bad movies, they make bad TV commercials. And this will be a speed bump for Pepsi, but I think it's going to have a longer term consequence for Kendall Jenner's brand, because she puts herself in a role that her image consultant should never have put her in. She's not God. She's not Martin Luther King. She's a model.
All right, we have another one, too, that we want to get your read on, and this one has to do with the folks at Nivea, because they are also facing a bit of a PR nightmare today and have withdrawn an ad that was also slammed on social media, and we're going to show you why. Here it is, a woman in a white robe, and the slogan, "White is purity." The photo is accompanied by the caption, "Keep it clean, keep bright, don't let anything ruin it." So, Tony, what do you think?
I mean, that's the kind of ads that somehow were out in the 1950s. You look back and shake your head. Again, I'm going to sort of recreate the boardroom. Our product is white cream. Everybody, when they think Nivea, white, what do they think? White. We put it on a flip chart, and everybody's, oh, hey, you're right, you're right. And then we want to really drive home that color, because that's what we stand for. Flip chart, flip chart. And then they put this thing out, and they see it through the eyes of the brand, and they don't see it through the eyes of society. So in this world where we're trying to get more tolerant, we're trying to be much more open-minded, to put your brand out with that kind of positioning is truly irresponsible. An assistant brand manager 6 months out of college shouldn't be able to catch that one, let alone the senior people that have been around for decades.
One final thing, when this kind of thing happens, I mean, what sort of heads roll? I mean, are people fired over this kind of stuff?
Well, with Pepsi, this is their new in-house advertising agency, so they might rethink the fact, can the shoemaker actually put shoes on their kids? And they might start thinking that this might belong with somebody as a third-party point of view. Heads will definitely roll. There'll be a lot of people that either are going to make or break a career. If you have a hit ad, that can take you from 0 to 100 miles an hour in your career. When you have a mishap like this, you lose currency, you lose trust, you lose conviction. People start saying you're not in touch with the times, and that has a big impact if you happen to want to have marketing in your title.
Branding expert Tony Chapman in Vancouver. Thanks for this, Tony. Always good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.